Everywhere you look. Corruption. We fight pointless wars over lies. Our future is in peril altogether. Wake up, America. You're in trouble. Martial law is already here. Expect an increase in military and police activity in the future. Wake up, America. You now under control by our tyrannical government. It is too late to complain. You should have complained at the beginning, when you had the chance. Now complaining will not make do. You have to rise up and expose everything. Wake up, people who are still in denial. The consequences of reality is here and now. Now it is time to get mad. I want you to get mad. This revolution will be the most chaotic and unprecedented in the history of mankind. The Civil War is here, America. Fight the elites. Learn to shoot a damn gun. Be ready what is to come. Do not miss 1 second of this video, as this is very important of any video. Spread the word. Burn it to a DVD, download it. Manipulate it, however. We don't care. We just need to spread the message out. All persons who are fighting against the New World Order, such as Anonymous, who has been working hard to take down the New World Order and expose everything. We are all in peril. If you think we are all safe, you must be mistaken. Not see, America is here, and it is time to take a stand. World War III is now, and the threat of nuclear war is imminent. Please wake up, and we call for Operation Wake the Masses. These events have been set up in succession, and now the New World Order is fast approaching, while Agenda 21 is now taking effect in America and throughout the world. If we lose this battle and fail to unite, then we allowed ourselves to get screwed down to the bone. Do not fall for one more trap. If you do, you will just be part of the problem Anonymous is dealing with. Global economic collapse is dangerously near. And for some of you, I cannot believe you are even sleeping well at night in the worldwide crises. I cannot even sleep well at night knowing my brothers and sisters around the world are in great danger, losing their substantial remaining freedoms we all have. This video will make you angry, weep, horrified. And this will serve as a biggest wake-up call of your life, and will change your life forever. Pay special attention to what you will see in the video. Martial law is here, and is only the beginning of this beta testing, before the military do go out and fight against us. How could some of you allow all this to happen and be so freaking scared if you protest? How disgusting, and how immoral you are if you let this happen. To those who are awake and aware of the corruption, it is important to wake up the remaining peoples who are still ignoring the reality, and it's time to go all out. We will show no more mercy. We will be aggressive in our fight. We will not stand down. We will not give up. This is the biggest fight in the Anonymous era and in human history. The world will remember, and will look back at us and may say, boy, they have fed themselves up, and how could they allow evil to take over that quick? There is no more time to waste on television shows. This is our future in peril here. If we stand down and do nothing, we will become forever slaves to these tyrants and the New World Order. Get armed. Get prepared. Get ready for the big one coming, and the big one is just at the door. When will you wake up? Realize this is what we are all facing together worldwide. Spread the message. Do not miss one bit of this video. Pay attention. We are Anonymous. We are Legion. We will never forgive tyranny. We will never forget what they have did to us. Too late, Illuminati, to even expect us. And time for you and your puppets to die and to be banished forever.
Hi everybody, this is Lisa Haven, and I've got some pretty bad news that I have to share with you guys today. But here's our headline for starters. It's huge new Army military document exposes, and I mean all out exposes, their martial law plans and their FEMA camp plans that they have set for the Southwest. This is huge. This was a recently classified document, and parts of it may still be classified. This has been the unclassified document, but it has recently been unclassified, and it reveals basically an 8-week training course, and it's called I have it written down here, Jade Helm, or Jade Helm, H-E-L-M. I'm going to go through it with you guys in a moment. But this particular exercise is specifically taking place in places like Texas, Arizona, California, New Mexico, Nevada, and Colorado. These are the particular states that they're focusing on. And some of them they have even labeled as hostile. This is a huge red flag on so many levels. We all know the internment and resettlement document. If you haven't studied that, I highly encourage you guys to Google it. I've done quite a few videos on FEMA camps and the internment and resettlement document, not to mention the civilian labor camps, which are also a part of that. And I'll dive into some of that towards the end of the video. But for now, I want to dive into this newest document because we're in hell over high water. This is what it is. And I hate to say this, but this is some of the biggest news that I have covered yet, and probably the most dangerous. And it's not a whole lot of pages, so let's just dive right in. All right, so here we are on the document. It's titled U.S. Army Special Operations Command, and as you can see, it's been unclassified. Now, this is a request to conduct realistic material training, which they're calling RMT. That's what it's going to be referenced in the future. And it's Jade Helm 15, Jade Helm 15. And this is put out or put together by the U.S. Army Special Operations Command. What is the purpose? They're very clear on this. The commander of the United States Army Special Operations Command, or the USASOC, seeks a written invitation and approval from local officials to conduct realistic military training within jurisdictions for joint military exercise, which they're calling JH-15. So basically, they're asking permission, and I do believe they have it, to go ahead and go forward with this realistic training. Now, first of all, why would we need some kind of realistic training here in America and in our own soil and with civilians? People are going to dress as civilians on this thing, as you're going to see. The only reason for that would be martial law implementation, or, you know, rounding up a FEMA camps. There's a lot of reasons, but to make it realistic and to make it real, this is kind of the idea here. So what is, and here's where they get in a little more detail, but what is realistic military training? It says RMT is training conducted outside of federally owned property, meaning they want to use on our own soil outside of their own stuff. The RMT process is designed to ensure proper coordination between the Department of Defense representatives and local and regional authorities. It includes the following measures: risk assessment, medical and communication plans, MOU, MOA, and licensing agreement, including role players, legal review, ID of training staging areas, role players, airfield drop zones, for crying out loud, landing zones, letters of invitations behind from local officials, coordination with local, state, and federal law enforcement, meaning this is our military working with our PD, our local PD, our fire department, or whoever they need to work with to conduct things on our own soil. This is huge. It goes on. Let's move on to the next page. What is Jade Helm? Jade Helm is a challenging 8-week-long joint military and interagency unconventional warfare exercise conducted, here's the 6 places: Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, California, Nevada, Utah, and Colorado. 7, excuse me, I failed to mention one earlier, but 7 places, which you're going to see in a moment, that they're labeling some of these places as hostile on this particular drill, and there's reasons for that I'll get into. But their second bullet point here is JH is a U.S. Special Operations Command sponsored exercise to improve the Special Operation Forces UW capability as part of the National Security Strategy. It will run from July 15th through September 2015. Now, if you live in one of these 7 states, expect a huge a huge upkick in military activity from July, August, September for about a 3-month period. And that's huge. I live in one of these states. That's 3 months of crap that we could be hearing in the air and all kinds of military personnel and drills. Here's the thing. They're getting us used to military people being in the streets. That's martial law rule number one. That's the first thing they're doing. And as you're going to see in a moment, these are normal things that we'll expect to see. Number two, they're preparing to initiate martial law and maybe even roundups. This is not a joke. It's the real deal. Who's involved and where? Here. We have the Army Special Forces, the Navy SEALs, the Air Force, the Marine Special Ops, Marine Expeditionary Units, Airborne Division. This is a little bit of everything. Exercise locations. Here's their locations. So if you live in one of these counties, or I think some of them are town. We have Caldwell as a county. Some of these are, San Antonio, a city. But here we go. Bastrop, Smithsville, Big Springs, Caddo Lake, Caldwell, Cristobal, College Station, Del City, and College Station, Texas A&M is in that area. El Dorado, Golad, I might be butchering that, Junction, Leakey, Menade, Mountain Home, San Angelo, San Antonio, and Victoria. So if you live in one of these counties, of which I actually grew up in one of these counties, so have a lot of contacts there. I'll definitely be keeping information on that. But there they go. They're going to be running them all around there. And so beware if you're in those areas and get ready for some action. Now here, this is pretty, this ticks me off. I'm sorry, I don't know how else to put that, but I'm rather upset. Here is where they actually list in red and blue and brown and light brown different hostile areas. For this particular example or drill that they're doing, they have listed Texas and Utah as hostile. Let me think about that for a moment. Probably the most pro-gun people live in Texas. Texas is very patriotic. They wanted at one point to secede from the Union. Texas has a lot going for them. A lot of patriots, a lot of Christians in that area. Why would Texas be targeted? Specifically for that reason. There's a lot of patriots there. And this is one that they've listed as a hostile area as an example to the drill that they're going to be doing right here. And then they go even further and they list Utah. Anybody guess why that's in red? I have one. Mormons. Mormons are they teach against things like what the government's doing. They're big preppers. Okay, Mormons don't mess around. They don't agree with a lot of stuff that the government is doing, and the government knows that. This is why Mormon area has been targeted. Utah, Mormons, Christians, and we have Texas. We have Christians and patriots, both labeled as hostile examples that can be used. Now, the reason that they're actually labeled as hostile, and I'm gonna go there and then I'm gonna come back. It says here, why Texas? Okay, yeah, good question. Why Texas? Why is it hostile? And I'm going to read this in a moment, but before I jump ahead on that, let me just explain some of the other states because it's going to tell you in a moment. But here they have permissive California and Nevada and Colorado, and then they have uncertain about New Mexico. Maybe they're friendlies, maybe they're not. And then they have Arizona leaning friendly. I'm not quite sure why Arizona is leaning friendly, but they have it labeled as such. But these are their different labels and different stations that they have around for a reason. Now moving on. Why is there red here? Why is this hostile? Why is this hostile? Good question. That needs an answer. Well, here's what they give. The United States Special Operations Command has conducted numerous exercises in Texas because Texans are historically supportive of efforts to prepare our soldiers, airmen, Marines, and sailors to fight the enemies of the United States. Huh. That's funny. So basically, they're going to use Texas because Texas is supportive of our soldiers, airmen. Pretty much all of America is supportive of our soldiers and stuff. What we're not supportive is martial law and a corrupt government doing things like that. But I beg to differ. You're not going to call an area hostile because they are nice to military. And you know, you can make the exclamation or the debate, oh, it's because, you know, they label them as a hostile area because they're openly accepted as taking that temporary label. Whatever, that's not the case. We all know that Texas is very anti, you know, what's going on in the government, and they're very pro-gun, and the government is very against gun. This is why they're on the list. Same thing with Utah, but they've deliberately put them as hostiles, including the entire southwest of the United States in preparation. This is what drills are for. There's no other reason. Drill is to prepare for some event that could happen in the future. Obviously, they think there is a big enough threat to impose martial law that they are going to have such a drill. This is huge, and this is an 8-week long drill. It's not no puny 2-day drill. It's 8 weeks. 8 weeks. And then it goes on to say, to hone advanced skills, the military and intelligence require large areas of undeveloped land with low population densities in order to, with access to towns. Texas, I guess, gives them that. They didn't say anything about Utah. The proposed area offers the conditions conducive to qualified training because of real obstacles to challenge the joint and IA personnel during planning and execution of their task. Challenges include operating outside the normal support mechanisms, adapting to unfamiliar terrain, operating in and around communities where anything out of the ordinary will be spotted and reported. Locals are the first to notice something out of the place. Yes, so they're actually banking on being reported, and they're banking on doing this around neighborhoods and communities. There's no other reason for that except to get us ready for martial law, to get us ready for Roundup. And then it goes on to list this pretty shocking fact: the opportunity to work with civilians to gain their trust and understanding of the issues, but it doesn't say what the issues are. So in other words, they want to work around civilians, conducting drills around civilians to gain their trust. Why would they need to gain our trust? Why? Martial law. So if they have to come in and start rounding up patriots and start rounding up Christians and start rounding up veterans, you can bet we're in hell over high water, because that is exactly what they want to do. And that's how they would get people in communities to work with them. Do you see a neighbor doing something? Say something. This is exactly the motto and the lingo that we're hearing from the White House right now. Moving on, it says that 1,200 service members will participate in the drill, including support, opposing force personnel, training unit. Anticipate minimal physical impact on any given area due to the large area of operations. Interesting. Funding identified for this portion of the exercise will go straight into the economy. Oh, look, it's good for the economy. And its estimated economic impact, except for the $150,000 price tag, but I guess that's what they think they can bring the economy, is how I read it. So there you go. Moving on, what to expect. Okay, now this is interesting. If you live in Bastrop, Caldwell, Austin area, all of these places that I mentioned earlier, or in the Southwest area, what you can expect at night or during the day: increased aircraft in the area at night, noise complaints. Some individuals may conduct suspicious activities designated to prepare them for complex environments overseas. Local LEOs are fully aware of the exercise. Local footprints will be 60 to 65 personnel. Personnel may be carrying weapons with blank ammo. Some participants will be wearing civilian attire and driving civilian vehicles. Now, why would they need that? Martial law. I think it's very, very evident here. But we're not even on the brink. We're here, folks. This is huge. This is just, here's a couple safety measures they're going to take. You can read that on your own later. if you want, and then it goes into questions and concerns and who you gonna call. I guess their contact informations, but that's the whole unclassified part that we have at this moment. And the reason that they've unclassified only this section, well, is because some in the Southwest are going to want to know why military personnel are walking around their neighborhood. So I guess all that to say that it's hitting the fan. I mean, it really is. And I wanted to bring you this document and show you it page by page because it's not that long. It's, I think, 8 or 9-ish pages if you include the last one, or 12 pages total, actually. But anyway, this is a huge red flag. Now, what I want to do is just, I said I would kind of briefly touch on a few documents. Let me pull them out because I got them here. And the first one, you guys have seen this before. It's the Internment and Resettlement Operations document. I've gone through this on numerous occasions, but just to hit a couple briefs on that page, there's actually diagrams on it that show what the FEMA camps and
Hey, what's up guys? Gons here for the Face Like the Sun YouTube channel. Obama has declared cyber terrorism as a national emergency. And this came out yesterday. I wanted to make sure that it wasn't just an April Fool's joke, but apparently this is real. There was an executive order that was published by the White House that declares this, and I have the document here, and it says here, quote, I, Barack Obama, President of the United States of America, find that the increasing prevalence and severity of malicious cyber-enabled activities originating from or directed by persons located in whole or in substantial part outside the United States constitutes an annual and extraordinary threat to the national security, foreign policy, and economy of the United States. I hereby declare a national emergency to deal with this threat. This is no surprise after it was reported by RT back in February 10th that the White House creates new cyber agency in effort to combat computer hacks, and more recently with things we've been covering here with Googletopia, Internet Fascism is here, and I'll put a link to that video in the description section, and also net neutrality, which basically creates a cyber panopticon situation. Now, the whole point of this sanction was to be able to go after any international hackers that may be trying to get into the United States network systems, whether they be government or business-related operations. And what they are allowed to do now is they can pinpoint the individuals or groups that are trying to hack, and they can basically freeze their money and they can go after them. So to get a better grasp of this, there's an RT article that came out which kind of summarizes the whole thing. And the article quotes Lisa Monaco, who is a Homeland Security advisor to the president. And she is stated as, quote, by freezing assets of those subject to sanctions and making it more difficult for them to do business with U.S. entities, we can remove a powerful economic motivation for committing these acts in the first place. And she went on to say, with this new tool, malicious cyber actors who would target our critical infrastructure or seek to take down internet services will be subject to those costs when designated for sanctions. Now again, this just sounds like they're lock and step in the agenda of trying to lock down the internet and control it as much as they can and have legal jurisdiction to do so. And the article actually points out one of the concerns here, which is sanctions or secret spilling. And it says here, quote, given that the executive order authorizes action to be taken against entities accused of assisting deliberate activities accomplished through unauthorized access to a computer, though concerns have already gave way regarding the possible use of the directive to censor foreign news and outlets depending on how their source material has been obtained. Marcy Wheeler, an independent national security reporter formerly with The Intercept, wrote on her blog on Wednesday that there is the possibility that the administration might use the executive order to target foreign entities that disclose secret documents if they happened to be acquired in a method that doesn't cut the administration's mustard. So it just gives them more power to allegedly go after some of these malicious hackers. A couple problems with this, though, and again, the article points it out. This article is really good. I will link it to you guys. First off, this doesn't account for the number of hacking that's going outward. The United States government or, either independent or government hired hackers from the United States going into other nations and, pulling up documents and things like that that are probably illegal to do. It doesn't address that issue. But also, it says here, aimed at United States activists, ? Andrew Weave Aurenheimer, a 29-year-old computer hacker who was sentenced to prison for disclosing a security vulnerability that affected AT&T and Apple, added that the administration's latest order may be ineffective given the realm in which cyber actors operate today. And he states, quote, the measure would have been something to pass in the 90s when technologies for irreversible currency transactions didn't exist. As it stands, this is just going to hasten the advance of Bitcoin's adoption of criminal enterprise. Courts cannot seize Bitcoin without seizing the keys, which are held in countries hostile to United States enforcement arms. Obama's administration continually attempts to give the impression they're fighting foreign cybercrime, but every single indictment seems to be aimed at United States activists. I was falsely imprisoned by the Obama administration and tortured for legitimate and lawful public criticism of his corporate allies. Before passing more regulations, his administration should do their duty of making amends to me for the terroristic violence it performed upon me. So there you go. The concern is not just this national threat to America, but just within our borders, people that may be trying to get into government documents and things like that. If they hack or if they are exposed in some way, they are able to go after them, and they're trying to control the distribution of information. I mean, this is pretty clear that that's what's happening. You wouldn't declare a national emergency if there wasn't some sort of reason to allow